The issue here is at $399, I think it is priced comparably to an iPad and a Chromebook, but it doesn't get Microsoft any closer to actually competing with these two different platforms.
Es el fuego que yo conozco. Es el fuego que yo.
What is the deal, beautiful people? My name is Ramon. This is Lifestyles Defined. And on this channel, we get it in with tech all day, every day. Today, we are talking about the Microsoft Surface Go. I think this device is a bit late. I've always wanted this. I'd say this device is about 3 to 4 years late. Ever since the inception of the original Surface, and there was Microsoft had some misdirections there. It used to be like a 16:9 aspect ratio, then it came down to 3:2, and then they would go both directions. But now they settled in on the 3:2 aspect ratio, which is okay because that's technically the aspect ratio of a sheet of paper, and that's kind of what we see in the iPad. So everyone's used to that aspect ratio. So okay, but I always wanted a smaller version of the Surface. I always felt like it was almost perfect. In fact, that's a lot of the hopes and dreams for that Andromeda project. Like, I actually just want something that's super small that can fit in my pocket. So the Surface Go, first of all, I feel like this is super Microsoft. This is Microsoft in 2018. I think Microsoft has had a lot of revelations lately, mainly because the Windows Phone, the Windows Mobile, Windows Phone thing kind of knocked them back on their ass and forced them to sort of wake up. We're looking at a Microsoft where they kind of understand that they can't shoehorn Windows into every single vision that they have. Windows is a very successful product for them, but that doesn't mean that Windows has to be the front runner in every single direction they go. And I love that about the new Microsoft. However, at the very core, Microsoft is still Microsoft, and they still make some super silly decisions. For instance, what I'm really getting at here is who's asking for this, right? So on the surface, this looks like pardon the pun, this looks like a really good move, right? The headline here is sure it's a smaller, faster Surface, but it comes in at $399. What does that mean? You're kind of competing with the Chromebooks, and you're definitely competing with Apple at that price point. Although there's some nefarious business going on behind the scenes, your price point is not $399 because you still got to get the keyboard, which is really important to the experience, and you got to get the pen. And then I'm also going to tackle some of the specs, and that of course raises the price, but whatever. It's all about that Sunday morning paper price, $399. Everyone wants to know what that's about. Well, the issue here is at $399, I think it is priced comparably to an iPad and a Chromebook, but it doesn't get Microsoft any closer to actually competing with these two different platforms. And what I mean by that is the iPad at the same $400 has got access to so many more apps, relevant apps, that it's in a class of its own. And the Chromebook, Google is still trying to figure out what the Chromebook is, but at the bare minimum, Chromebooks can run Android applications, or most of them. Again, Microsoft still can't approach. So even if you make it smaller, lighter, faster, more easy to carry, and you make it even cheaper, what's the point? And I feel like this is the same conversation we had with Windows Phone, where you can spew the price, the specs, the beauty, the design, the passion behind the Surface Go product. If you guys get a chance, there's an article out there. Was it Wall Street Journal? I forgot who wrote it, but it was pretty much a behind-the-scenes article of Panis Panay talking about the decisions that went into the Surface Go behind the scenes. And he's so passionate. And that dude is super dope to me. But what's the point? Someone's just gonna pull you to the side and say, yeah, that's really cool, but like, where are the apps? Right? And we're in this weird space now where, for instance, Adobe just announced that in 2019 they will have a real version of Photoshop available on the iPad. And if you guys haven't already checked out that video where I sort of dive into this Apple and their, what's a computer? And the conversation around, can you really replace your laptop, your PC laptop, with an iPad? Not to spoil the video, but the answer is yes. And then my only caveat to that experience, well, not only, but a big one for me and part of my workflows as a photographer, I have a real version of Lightroom, which was dope, but I do not have a real version of Photoshop. And in my workflow today as a photographer, I use Lightroom first and then Photoshop. And the Photoshop isn't really available. Here's Adobe saying, no, we'll fix that. So then what's the point of going with a Surface even at this price point, right? This is what really bothers me at a baseline about this product. As super dope as it is, I think it's still 3 to 4 years late. I think even though it has a super competitive price, a super dope design, great specs, I think it's still going to be pointless. It's still going to get chewed up. For what? So you can run an x86 version of an application, and you can use a Surface Pen. Apple figured that out with the iPad Pencil, and most of these apps don't even matter anymore. What, Microsoft Word? You've got all that over there on the iPad. So I don't really understand why Microsoft is doing this. I feel like there are a few other things they could have been focusing on, but nonetheless, I think it's a dope device. For those of you who are not in the know, this is essentially a 10-inch Surface, which puts it nicely in the realm of a 10-inch iPad, which is the default iPad size. It's got an 18 by 1200 resolution display, which is, I think that's going to be pretty good looking. It's got this new Pentium Gold, 4415U. So this processor, I don't know why they call it a Pentium. Anytime I hear Pentium, I run in the other direction. It's an old stigma from a PC fanboy days. But apparently, it's equivalent to an i3. But if you look at the original Surface, this processor is 30% faster than the original Surface running an i5. And it is 20% faster than the original Surface running an i7. So even though it's coming in at a performance around an i3, it's still a serious performer. So you can get this guy with 4 gigs of RAM. That's the $400 model comes with 4 gigs of RAM. It comes with a 64 gigabyte hard drive. You've got some niceties in there like the dual front facing speakers. You've got they're quoting at 9 hours of battery life. Okay. You've got your USB Type-C. You've got a SD card slot for expandable storage. The thing weighs 1.15 pounds without the keyboard. That's super light still. You got the front-facing cameras that support Windows Hello. Windows Hello is super dope. I would say Windows Hello is pretty much Face ID, but for Microsoft products. So that's in there. And of course, it comes with the Windows Home or the Windows S. Get rid of that shit as soon as possible once you get it. It is a free upgrade. Now, I mentioned that for that $400 price tag really not being its true price tag. First of all, you're going to, at the bare minimum, need a keyboard, which is going to cost you anywhere from $100 to $130. $130 is the Alcantara versions. You're going to need that keyboard. Then you're going to need the pen, and that costs you another $100. So that is your real price point. But I want to be very clear. In 2018, do not buy any Windows tablet, any Windows computer, any Windows laptop with 4 gigs of RAM. Do not do it. I understand people are trying to save a buck, and this is why I didn't like Microsoft's marketing on this because it's misleading. I don't think Windows running 4 gigs of RAM is enough. I don't care how much you tell me about the S mode and how it only runs the marketplace apps or the app store app. There aren't any apps in there to begin with, so you're gonna want to free this thing so you can install traditional x86 applications, and you're gonna find that running your Pornhub and your YouTube in Chrome is gonna chew through that 4 gigs of RAM. Do not buy the 4 gigabyte version of this thing. I don't care who says how snappy it is, whatever. There's some conversation around the gigabyte options. So it starts out with 64 gigs. There's an option for 256. But from what I've been reading, these aren't super fast SSDs. I don't think they're SSDs at all, actually. But people have their concerns around that. And if you don't know how to perceive that, an SSD is probably one of the best upgrades you can do to a computer. When you take out that spinning hard drive and you put in a solid state hard drive, it is mind-blowingly fast. Mind-blowing how fast the computer becomes, simply because the computer can gain access to whatever it is a lot faster without having to spin up a drive. So don't underestimate that. Watch out for that. I don't know. I think it's going to be a great device. I'm happy to see it. I think it's too late. Maybe they can do me a favor and come out with a Surface Go Mini. Now that's something I'd be really looking to jump into. But I don't know. I want to know what you guys think, man. Am I just overthinking this? Am I just too far gone? Am I not a Microsoft whore anymore? I don't know. I think they need to solve this ecosystem problem before they can push this hardware and try to compete with the likes of Apple in this world. But that's just my opinion. May not be a popular one for the Microsoft fans tuning in. But if you really enjoyed this video, here are 2 recommendations for some videos just like it. And in the middle, if you have not already subscribed, there's your subscribe button. My name is Ramon, and I'm out of here. Peace.